I I understand that you are a single parent mom, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. How did you become a single parent mom?
Well, it basically just come from the fact that I was raised without parents myself. My mother left us. My father worked out of town, so his mother's people raised us, and it just became just a part of my lifestyle. And I always just ran the streets and did whatever I wanted to do. And then I became a single parent at the age of 20. I had my first child at 20, and um, it's just something that I just knew I had to do on my own. I was given the option to give her up, but I chose to keep my child because I've always believed that you have a child, you need to take care of it.
Okay. So so do you think that having your first child had a positive or negative effect on her?
Actually, well, on the child, I'm sure it was a little bit of both because she had a loving parent, which was myself, and then she had an absent parent, which was her father. He and I chose not to be together because he was an angry person, and I didn't want her around that. But even though I knew he had to be in her life anyway, but I chose to take my child and move to somewhere positive. And so for me, it was a positive thing because I was wild, and having my first child calmed me down. And because I knew that I wanted to be a great mom because I didn't have a mom in my life. And I promised myself and God that I would do everything in my power to take care of my children to the best of my ability.
Okay. So what happened to your first daughter's father?
Well, he and I used to argue a lot. He was very controlling, and I wanted to do better with my life. I wanted to go to college in the little country town that I was living in, which was Rayford, North Carolina. Didn't allow me to have that lifestyle because there was no city buses, no cabs, hardly any jobs. So I had to move to Charlotte so I can have a better opportunity to provide for my child. And that's when I met my second daughter's father, still unmarried. We dated, and I got pregnant. Then we got married right before I had the child. He was in the military.
So how old were you when you had your second child?
My second child, I was 22 years old. And um, at that time, I tell you the truth, I was not happy with myself. I was not happy with myself that I had a second child coming in this world and I was not married. Because for one, that's not how I was raised. My grandmother's sisters did not raise us like that, but that's just a path that I chose. Because I thought I was grown and knew everything and I wanted to do my own thing. So I ended up with two children and no husband. So I talked my second husband into marrying me. I told him I didn't want to have another child coming into this world, without being married. So he said he loved me, and we got married, and things still didn't work out because I was still wild, still trying to do me.
Oh, okay. So were you ever married?
Yeah, we did get married. Like I stated, we did get married, but it didn't last long. It didn't last long at all. We got married in '89, and we was divorced by '92 because his world and my world was too different. You know,
So why did you get divorced?
well, we got divorced because he was, be honest with you, he was still a mama's boy, and I've never had a parent in my life, and for me to see him interact with his family, and I don't know anything about that lifestyle, it was too much for me. So I pulled away from them more so than I needed to, and so I just told him I was done. I was done with the marriage, and he went his way, I went mine.
So do you think you not having both parents had a positive or negative effect on you?
It had a very negative effect on me. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It had a negative effect on me mm, because children need both parents in their life. And when you're not getting that love from both parents, it does leave a void. It leaves a void on the inside. And people say, I can handle it. I don't need both parents. But reality, you do. No matter how much I can give and give and give to my children, I still can't do everything that both parents forgive. And with all that hurt and all that pain that I went through, that's how I ended up having children after children, relationships not working. And in '92, when Rico and I got divorced, I met your father, and we dated for a while, and I ended up getting pregnant again. Well, I was still married to Rico, but we weren't divorced yet. We were separated, but weren't divorced. And I ended up getting pregnant with you, and I come across that same type of man where he was controlling. And so I'm like, I was tired. I was tired of that life. I wanted to change. I wanted to get saved. I wanted to do better with my life. And he told me if I didn't want him, he wasn't going to take care of you. And so I decided that I felt like I was going to be a good enough parent and take care of you like I've taken care of your sisters. And it's not been easy. Financially, it has been murder on me to take care of my children, but I did the best that I could and gave the best that I could. And being a single parent is not something that I promote, but one thing I will say about being a single parent, you can still give your children everything you got on the inside of you and push them to do better than you've done. So it's a positive and a negative effect. It just depends on what you take from it. And I took that anger, that hurt, and that pain to push all the love inside of my 3 children.
Okay, so do you think that from you having only one parent, would you have made the same mistakes that you made?
No, I wouldn't have. If I would have had both my parents, I know that my life would have turned out better. Because I would have had my mother in my household to train me as a girl should be trained. If I'd have had my father in the same household with me, I would have had that male love and attention instead of seeking for that male love and attention and acceptance out here in the world. I know that my life would have been better. And I know that I would have went further in life with college and everything else if I'd have had both of my parents in my life.
So do you still talk to your parents now?
Well, my father and I had an awesome relationship. He was coming back and forth in town and sending money to take care of his 5 children, doing the best that he could because he only had a 2nd grade education himself. His mother died when he was 9. But my mother, she left us in the house with no food, no lights when I was only 3 years old. And there was 5 of us. But I found her again when I was 18. And it has been nothing but a negative relationship ever since I was 18 years old because I'm 44 now. And it's not been anything happy about it. But I keep trying. Every time, I get tired, I get fed up of her negativity, I would pray and I would go right back trying to find something good within her to try to pull out to make a relationship. But my father's deceased now. He just passed in February of this year. And that was one of the hardest things that I've ever had to encounter because for me, that was the only parent that really cared anything about me.
Okay, so was your mother also a product of a single parent home?
Actually, she wasn't. My mother had her mother and her father in her household with her. She even, she like from what she's told me, she had everything. Financially, they had money. She had the best of everything. Her mother and father both was there for her. She was just wild. She was just wild. And my father, of course, like I said, his mother died